Alright fellas, here we are back in Pokemon Masters, and tomorrow we're going to be in the rerun for Sygna Suit, Lusamine, and Necrozma. Psychic type sync pair, rerun, and similar to Lily, I would say, Lusamine has not aged very gracefully. Still not a bad unit, still pretty strong, at least has a higher damage stealing than Lily, but definitely has got her faults, in my opinion, but you did get a pretty good boost with her rerun here in the form of the support EX role, which is definitely very, very good for sure, especially for characters like her and Sygna who want to sync in order to get more than just the nuke off, because obviously she can transform into Ultra Necrozma, or Necrozma can transform into Ultra Necrozma. We don't have a Lusamine Necrozma fusion, not yet. So anyway, whatever. Let's go ahead and look at her abilities here and start out with her stats here. At level 140, no 6-star EX and no support EX roll. She's got 742 health, which is fine. 130 in both defenses, which is pretty bad. Pretty bad defenses. 312 special attack, which is quite mediocre if we want to be kind. And then 334 speed, which is that's good speed for sure. But these stats are not that great. Obviously, they do get better with the 6-star EX, right? Jumping up to 352 special attack, which is a decent bit more respectable. Defenses are still a little low, but they're definitely far better. HP is good. Speed is definitely still good. But the big thing is once she becomes Ultra Necrozma, I'm pretty sure the overall boost is 1.2 times in overall stats. So Ultra Necrozma does buff her stats significantly. Well, without the 6-star EX, not really. It's like a 25 buff in the defenses, which is not good. 400 speed is very good. 374 special attack is, again, still quite respectable. But if we want to look at 6-star EX, the stats jump a lot, at least quite a bit. She goes from 170 in defenses to over 200, which now is quite good. 422 special attack, which is also good, and then 448 speed, which again is very good for speed. So Lusamine obviously gains a lot from the EX, and plus being able to go Ultra Necrozma, which is why the support EX roll, which again is also applying a whole lot of health and a whole lot of defenses, which is actually making Lusamine kind of bulky now. I wouldn't say bulky, but like, kinda. Plus level 150. Stats can go up quite a bit. That's the point. Stats can definitely go up quite a bit and look a lot more impressive now. With the support X roll, she does get some very respectable defensive stats and maintains her decent special attacking stat for sure. Not too bad, right? Not too bad, but even without that, still maintains some good stats. Going into her moves here, she's got Mirror Shot, which is 30% chance to debuff accuracy. You'll never use this. We're going to be honest with ourselves. You're never going to use this unless it's for the memes, which maybe I'll do a meme showcase of Mirror Shot. I don't know. She's got Dire Hit Plus for maxing crit, as well as Prismatic Laser, which is her main form of DPS. It's a 4-gauge move, 192 power. Very, very strong for sure. And she has her Trainer move, Luminous Love here, which reduces sync countdown by 2, raises special attack by 6, and lowers speed by 1. Not really a big deal with the speed debuff, especially with her pretty high speed stat naturally. It's not that big of a deal. Minus 2 sync countdown is good. This means you can pair her with either an ally that has Head Start 1 or some form of sync countdown, or you can give her Head Start 1 herself if you want to actually get that minus 3 sync countdown, which can be good for skipping an entire turn. Definitely very, very good for sure. Definitely amazing. Mostly good for running with allies though, for sure, because you may want to keep the Critical Strike 2 or whatever for some damage. Going into her move, she's got Alola Spirit, passives. She's got Alola Spirit, which powers up ally special attacks. The bad thing about this passive skill is that she overlaps with Gladion, because Gladion has the exact same master passive, so they both overlap with each other, meaning that obviously both passives cannot activate, because if you don't know, if you have the same region and the same master passive, they don't overlap. You can have like Kanto Spirit and Alola Spirit, and those will combine. You can have Alola Spirit and Alola Flag Bearer, and those combine, but you can't have 2 Alola Spirits because they don't. Only one of them will activate, which is not good. Obviously, both being Force Alola, they'll be able to apply the partial boost, right? Because you get more boost per ally, per Alola ally. Obviously, that boost will still go into effect, but you just will not have pretty much double master passes, right? Got to keep that in mind. So yeah. She's got healthy super hit as well, which applies super effective next whenever entering battle with full HP. Not bad for sure, but this is only activated for super effective stages, or only be able to be used against super effective stages, so it's not the biggest buff in the world, because she already is actually really good against super effective stages, but either way, it's a buff. Entry freebie, applying free moves next on entry. This is definitely a lot more useful because being a 4-gauge move user that can also debuff their own speed, she does want that little bit of gauge help, so the entry freebie does definitely help get things started, so to speak. And then expand reach. After using the user's sync move, when a move used by the user's Pokemon that targets itself or an ally is successful, target becomes all allied sync pairs. So basically, after using the user's sync move, blah blah blah, target becomes all opposing sync pairs. Yeah, okay. So any move that can be used against the enemy will now become AoE after using the sync move, which I don't know why they did it like this when you could have just given her the passive extended reach, or expanded, whatever it's called, the anniversary end passive, right? You could have just given it to her when she becomes Ultra Necrozma, and you could have actually made this more useful, like, I don't know, debuffing enemy stats on entry, giving her special moves next, buffing her crit, I don't know, something like that. Like Sharp Entry 1 would have actually been pretty good, but whatever. Either way, they decided to do it like that. So whenever she uses her sync move, her moves become AoE with no split damage and no split chances of move effects. So Prismatic Laser will become AoE when she becomes Ultra Necrozma off of that 422 special attack, which is quite good, right? It's essentially like a 200 base power move. Well, 3 out of 5, right? 176 base power move, hitting all enemies with no split damage. Quite good. And then after she sinks, she gets Super Duper Effective 2 instead of healthy super hit, so 20% power up to super effective moves, and then Move Gauge Refresh 4 instead of entry freebie, so she gets some consistent gauge recharge for obviously having to utilize a 4-gauge move, right? So not bad there, having a little bit more gauge efficiency. And of course she keeps expanded reach. Or expand reach, whatever. Big problem with Lusamine's base kit, and of course nothing good at 1 out of 5 in the grid. Everything she does is super effective based. Outside of her super effective damage, she is just using a 422 special attack stat with a little master passive, which is good, right? It's like a 25% minimum, 20% minimum power up here to her moves, and then of course a 160 base power prismatic laser that's AoE because of the sync move, right? But that's kind of the biggest problem, is that that's all she's got. She doesn't have like any extra damage. She's got Critical Strike 2 as a lucky skill, which is her only real form of extra damage besides the Alola Master passive. Super duper effective damage. Super effective damage. She's going to be doing fine anyway. So I don't really feel that these things are these buffs are super crazy, like healthy super hit and super duper effective too. I don't think they're amazing buffs, just because she's already quite good for doing super effective damage. So, I don't know, man. That's kind of the problem that I have with Lusamine, is that she's not going to be uber impressive anywhere besides on type, especially at 1 out of 5. Going into the grid, 2 out of 5, she doesn't really get anything besides some sync nodes and weird vibes here, which is just a 10% multiplier on psychic terrain. But I suppose with a character like Lusamine, who could pretty much use any multiplier she could get, this can be relatively helpful. 3 out of 5, she gets Hide and Sync, Special Attack plus 30, Honor Roll and Mirror Shot, Discombobulate 4, Brain Sync, Double Down, Critical Strike 1, and Propulsion. All in the sync nodes, all decently good abilities. Mirror Shot and Discombobulate, mostly just Mirror Shot, I don't think you would ever want to use. You would just want to be spamming Prismatic Laser, so I feel Discombobulate would be better there. But of course, you also have to consider the route that it would take you to get that, right, with all these sync nodes. Hide and Sync is her only actual nuking multiplier outside of Brain Sync 5, which, if you do max out Hide and Sync and Brain Sync, of course that's easy to do, you can actually gain Brain Sync's easy. Hide and Sync is your problem. That she does have a good nuke, right? At 150% in total multipliers, plus obviously like Critical Strike 2, the Alola Master passive, and whatnot, right? And of course she'll be getting the Support EX roll if you do give her that, so you'll get that double sync buff after using the first sync move, which will be helping her out a lot for sure. But you got to just consider how hard it's going to be to actually get Hide and Sync, especially with her related partners, right? Special attack plus 30, you're probably never going to be able to pick up realistically, but it's a lot of power for sure, plus 30. Critical Strike 1 is just a 10% multiplier, right? So you've got to also consider that this is 10% of a buff, and it's costing 10 energy. You're probably never going to pick it up. And then Prismatic Laser Propulsion 1, very good ability as well. 20% chance of reducing sync countdown just for using the move. Propulsion is universally a great passive, right? It could be between 1, 2, and 3, and every time it's extremely good. Random sync countdowns can be very useful in case you miss a quad Q or you want to run like ramping strategies. Propulsion can be really good for helping out those, right? So those are always good. That's always a good pickup. Weird Vibes and Double Down. Double Down is only good for super effective damage, which with Double Down plus our super effective multipliers and whatnot, as well as the 2 Sync Nodes and Brain Sync 5, Lusamine will decimate any Psychic Weak stage that you can pretty much put her against with really no problem for the most part, especially with better partners such as Sygna Suit Lana, who helps activate her Master Passive and apply Psychic Terrain and can do damage of her own. So they can work pretty well together for sure, those two specifically. And obviously you can run her with like Anniversary May, Sygna Suit Steven, Neo Champion Rose is obviously a good buff with the Psychic rebuff, right? Very good characters to run there as well, so not bad there either. Other than that, she's got Brain Sync 5, which is again good, and then everything else we pretty much stated with the sync nodes and whatnot. Honestly, I would say this may be your best possible grid to go for if you want to go for Discombobulate, because if you're going to try and do off-type damage with Lusamine or just make her more consistent in other areas besides Psychic Weak stages, this is probably a grid, or at least a grid similar to this is what you're going to have to go for, because you really need to activate Hide and Sync, because outside of that, Lusamine's damage is not all that impressive. Trust me, I've been there. Like, I get it, it's Prismatic Laser, it's 176 AoE damage, 176 power AoE damage and whatnot, but off of just a 50% sync node, or sync move, whatever, and then let's say the Hide and Sync isn't activated, she's not really hitting for too much damage, because 422 is not really an impressive attack stat. It's fine, or special attack stat, it's fine, but it's not really anything crazy. She does definitely benefit a lot from the level 150, because it does go over to about 450 in special attack, but really, my biggest issue is that Lusamine's grid is just kind of all over the place. Like, she really wants Hide and Sync, but then also activating accuracy debuffing multipliers is extremely difficult, so you want to pick up a Discombobulate, which for one is RNG because it's 50% chance, right? But you also want to pick up Brain Sync 5, you want to pick up both sync nodes, you probably want to pick up Critical Strike 1 just for a little bit extra damage, you probably want to pick up the plus 30 special attack because again, she really could use the special attack buff, all that stuff, right? I think all of this kind of just goes well together in saying that Lusamine is kind of iffy to use, so to speak. This is just coming from someone who has tried to use her off-type before, even in like 2,500 point master mode. You could do it for sure, not really the biggest issue in the world, but now with 3k master mode, good night. It's kind of an issue. If you do want a little bit of reassurance though, we're definitely eventually going to get a Psychic Weak ultimate battle, and unless they like go out of their way to try and screw over, you know, special attackers, or they give it like a gimmick or something that just screws Lusamine over, she's gonna be really fucking good for an ultimate battle, especially if you give her the support EX role where she's already got decently good defensive stats and really good health as well. She's gonna be using Double Down 9, putting out nuclear bombs of sync moves, right? And this definitely could give you a little bit of time to activate some accuracy debuffing multipliers depending on who you do bring, right? So definitely very, very good there for sure. But I also want to go over, like, are there any characters that can really debuff accuracy consistently? I mean, off the ones off the top of my head, you got Colress, who, why would you use? Inga, who's a support, but also a really wonky to support to try and use with Lusamine, right? So, I mean, there's that. You got Hapu, who does apply the Alola Master passive, but it's Hapu. Why would you bring Hapu over someone else just like Lana, Sygna Suit Lana? Far better character to bring. So, that's kind of just my biggest problem with Lusamine, is activating Hide and Sync is uber difficult, or realistically difficult, and then just obviously the trade-off is also, I mean, the trade-off is quite good, but it's not, I don't think it's worth it for having to go through the hell of having to actually try and activate hide and sync. At least not all that much. But I mean, outside of that, she's got a decent enough grid, I guess. She's got Brain Sync 5, Double Down 9, super effective damage. She's going to be doing really, really good at. You can pretty much like blink, and Lusamine will just obliterate any super duper effective stage. So keep that in mind. You could run something like this for super effective damage and do just fine. There's not going to really be an issue. You could probably get rid of this if you want to pick up something else, maybe like the special attack node. I don't know. I don't even think you can pick that up, but really that's up to you. So yeah, support EX roll is definitely helpful to her though. Going over that now with the new support EX roll, very good stuff, because she is a character that wants to Mega Evolve, because base Necrozma is not great. It doesn't have expanded reach. It's only 352 special attack. She wants to go Ultra Necrozma for the major stat buff, as well as now getting the support EX roll to where she can now utilize the support EX function. Because obviously before you would have to sync with her, you would only get one sync buff. The damage would be kind of cut otherwise compared to using a support EX or something, right? Now you don't have that problem. You can now sync with Lusamine, get the stat buff she wants, get her nuke off, and you can now get double sync buffs in order to actually really help out Lusamine's damage. Very, very good. Support X roll is definitely the best roll they could have given her. I don't think there's a better one out there, honestly. Like Field, no. I just run over Sygna Lana. Sprint is fine, but really, I'd still think support is better. Tech is fine as well, but I think support was overall the best option for her, because it does help out her bulk a bit, especially when we do end up getting an ultimate battle that she can be utilized to good effect in, and also just for helping out against any other stages, right? Like any Legendary Gauntlet, Stadium stage, right? She now is able to handle those AoE attacks better, or just any other attack that, you know, may be coming her way, right? So the defensive stats definitely do help out there in that aspect. Yeah, that's honestly mostly it, I would say. That's kind of my overview for Lusamine, really. Pretty good character for sure, but just really clunky, honestly. Hide and Sync, if you were to replace Hide and Sync with anything else, like Smarty Pants even, which special defense debuff's not that bad, not nearly as bad to get as accuracy debuffs. Freaking Inertia. She debuffs her speed, but I would still rather have Inertia. Brain Power, something like that. If you were to really pretty much replace this with any other multiplier, I probably wouldn't be, I'd probably be singing a whole different tune. Even evasion debuffs I wouldn't be that mad at, because we got someone like Special Costume Rosa who's very good at doing evasion debuffs and special defense debuffs, so I wouldn't even be that mad with evasion debuffing for this sync move. So that's honestly probably what I gotta say about it. Yeah, it's just that Hide and Sync is kind of, in my opinion, really holding her back. I want to see what other characters have Hide and Sync and see if we can potentially find a character that works out well with her. We'll just see, right? We got May and we got Hapu. That's literally it. May doesn't synergize well at all with Lusamine, and also doesn't debuff accuracy that well. She debuffs it fine, I guess, but really not all that crazy. And then Hapu, who we already went over, she literally just applies the Alola Master passive. It's just better to use Sygna Lana. Speaking of, if you do have Sygna Lana, then that team is going to be good. Lusamine and Sygna Lana are going to be probably quite a strong combination, especially if you do have, you know, them duped out and whatnot. So if you do want to try that double setup, you know, Psychic Alola characters, you'll probably be able to do some very, very good stuff. Especially, again, once we do get a Psychic Week Ultimate battle, I'm sure that combination will probably be able to do a lot of good damage. But also, Psychic's not really hurting for damage dealers. And going to that aspect, if you do think that you want a better Psychic character, don't. Giovanni's free, and he will work perfectly well with his EX and Mega Evolution if you do get that in the future. We're going to be having the Psychic High Score event coming up soon, which will probably rerun someone like Sygna Dawn, Anniversary May, Lear, maybe Sygna Lana, right? All these characters are just as good, realistically speaking, or at least are very sufficient in their own right. And then, of course, literally 2 days after Lusamine runs, we literally get Sygna Steven, which is Master Fair level character. Master Fair level sync pair here. Absolutely absurd sync pair. Definitely far more valuable and easier to get being a Poke Fair instead of a Master Fair, right? So, yeah. That's my review for Sygna, Lusamine, and Necrozma. I've got this character. I will be EX rolling her and doing a showcase tomorrow, so if you are still a little bit iffy on what I have to say, then I guess wait and see her showcase tomorrow, though I don't know how that's going to go with the different stadium stages we have, especially because none of them are Psychic Week, so can't actually show a lot of her Psychic super effective damage, which is one of her bigger aspects, I feel, so That's a little annoying. Oh well. Anyway, we'll try showcasing Lusamine tomorrow. Get her some decent footage and whatnot. I guess wait for that. And yeah, I'll see you later. Hope you all enjoyed. If you are summoning for Lusamine, I do wish you luck. But again, I do kind of recommend you to at least wait until the data mine for whatever we're gonna see. You know, potential anniversary character. Obviously, we're gonna get anniversary characters. Potentially, you know, Paldean, Hisuian characters, potential Neo champions, whatever it may be. We're gonna be getting something hype and probably something stronger than Lusamine. I would hope so. Otherwise, I think Pokemon Masters is about to hit end of service. No, I'm kidding. I'll see y'all later, though. I hope you all enjoyed.